The Everesting challenge. Why would anyone want to try to tackle this? It all started with 4 guys talking about a long ride and at the same time trying to get 10 or 15,000 feet of climbing in during that ride. Then my dumbass said, if we're going to do that, we might as well just do an Everest. I had seen some of the pros doing it and thought we could do just the same. 2 other guys agreed and we started our planning. We even invited other riders to join us, which most declined or conveniently had something else to do. We eventually hashed out a date of June 27th and decided that we would start around 5 in the morning. We didn't plan on much support through the day, so I told them we could park the van nearby and have everything we needed in the van and we could self-support. We started, and we all knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I don't think any of us knew what it was really going to take to make this happen and climb 29,029 feet on a bike. Before we go any further, I want to mention that Brent, one of the other guys that was doing the attempt, mentioned we should dedicate the ride to one of his friends that's been battling pancreatic cancer. This is one of the most painful cancers you can get. Of course, we all 100% agreed we would ride in the honor of him. Brent reached out and contacted Jason and told him of our intentions. Jason quickly came back with the idea that he wanted to try this attempt with us. When Brent told me that this guy we were dedicating the ride to wanted to ride it with us, I honestly thought he was crazy. How could a person going through chemo and with a cancer that bad even consider such an attempt? Well, I was about to find out the toughness of Jason really soon.
Tonight, they've increased the time for thunderstorms and extended it into the late night, early morning when we wanted to start. So I'm not sure how this will go, but hopefully we still go off without a hitch. I just don't want to be riding when it's lightning out, you know?
We started just after 5 in the morning on June 27th. It was a foggy morning, almost the whole morning from the dark hours to the late hours of the morning until about 11 a.m. when the sun started to burn off the fog. By that time, we really wanted the fog to stay around and block the heat of the sun from cooking us on the hot blacktop pavement. When we started this ride in the dark bowels of the morning, I was very nervous descending the hill in the dark fog. My brain kept telling me, what if a deer or other animal were to run out in front of you going 30 to 40 miles an hour on a bike? Despite my hesitation going fast down the hill, we descended and I soon felt comfortable speeding down the hill. Our initial hours on the bike were spent going up at a pretty good clip, a pace I honestly thought we could hold for most of the day. As we kept our pace high, Jason started to drop off and I started to worry about him and his health during this crazy attempt of climbing Mount Everest. You see in this video how much clearer it seems than it really was. Have you ever taken a picture of it snowing really hard in the winter to show someone how hard it was coming down, only to look at the picture and thought, man, it was snowing a lot harder than that? Well, that's how this was. We couldn't see very far in front of our bikes as we were screaming down this hill in the foggy darkness. Back to Jason starting to fall off the pace. What I didn't realize was how smart he was. He was slowing down so that he could complete this thing. He had better calculated this than I had. I thought we'd be done in 15 hours. Little did I know. I already got a flat. We got a nail. So we're repairing that. Rob's seat needed to be tilted, so we took care of that. And we should hopefully be back on going here real quick shortly. During the morning hours, we had some awesome dudes, Gary and Tim, show up and ride the hill with us for a long time. They would yell and motivate us to keep going all morning long. We also had the support of Brent's family and friends, Jason's wife and kids, and the other Rob's wife cheering us on.
Uh-oh. There's blue sky.
The sun came out. It got hot as F. If I had not been on the bike for 6 hours already, I would have known that I needed to stay cool in order to continue this ride. But your thinking shuts off. I didn't even think about keeping my body cool. I do not do well in the heat at all. I overheat very easily, and I was about to find out very soon I was heating up again. My wife showed up earlier than expected, which was a blessing for all of us. Holy shit, was she a savior. She kept drinks full and food coming when needed. I was eating and drinking perfectly. As we crossed the halfway point, one of us decided that was enough. He wanted to preserve his knees for an epic bike trip that he was going on in the UP. I can't say I blame him. I wanted to quit myself, and I'm pretty sure Brent wanted to stop too. I kept going because my wife came up to support. I couldn't just stop after riding almost 9 hours on the bike with her there cheering me on. I wanted to make her proud. This was the longest I'd ever been on the bike to this point in my life. I also couldn't quit because I had a friend driving up to support me as well. What a disappointment it would be for him to show up and I've already thrown the towel in. Tom was also my coach in a way. Whenever I had training issues or questions, he's always been there to steer me in the right direction. I had to stay on the bike. Brent didn't stop at the halfway point because Jason wanted to keep going. That was all Brent needed to keep pushing himself. As the day went on, I soon realized how tough Jason was. Some time went by. The sun was really cooking me without me even knowing. A few more times up the hill and I started to really feel that heat. On the next pass, I asked my wife for the sock I brought to be filled with ice for my neck. Tom had mentioned a week earlier that this would be a good idea to have handy because it was going to be hot. The ice-filled sock was too late for me. It was too hot for my body. My body had already started shutting down from the heat. I felt lightheaded and dizzy. My stomach started to go sour. My heart rate was too high. I really wish I would have had my head on better to realize what was happening. During hard races, I have the wits to know when I need to put some cold water on my neck and head. And most of the time it's on those longer sun-baked climbs. The climbs you're not going very fast, so you can't catch a breeze to cool down. When your core temperature continues to climb. It was during this time my wife came up with a plan. But first, I stopped. Tom had just shown up and was ready to ride the hill with me to keep me going. But I was done. I stopped on the side of the hill where my wife had set up camp. I got off the bike, which was a struggle. I almost fell over and down the hill. My stomach was in a knot. I felt like I wanted to puke. I sat myself down in the back of my wife's vehicle with the help from others. Just before this, another teammate showed up in his vehicle to support us with an awesome megaphone. Kevin drove up with his wife, and just after he showed up, I was off the bike feeling heat exhaustion, feeling like a massive pile. Tom and my wife Megan did everything they could to get me back from the dead, first by getting me out of the sun. They wouldn't let me lay down like I wanted to. Tom started massaging my legs, and Megan had me eating, drinking, and was also putting ice cubes in the vents of my helmet. Kevin stopped and wanted me to eat combos as they worked well for him during long rides. So I tried one, and it took me 20 minutes to chew and swallow the whole combo. Yes, just one combo. They brought me back to life. They encouraged me to get back on the bike. I didn't want to get back on the bike. They said, hey, let's just try one more climb and see how you feel. Well, that's what I did. One more. Megan had a plan. She ran to the van, grabbed washcloths and a bucket of ice-cold water. Every lap, she would give a new one to Jason, Brent, and I to endure the heat of the day. She also kept our fluids and bellies full. Without her, I firmly believe that none of us would have made it through the heat of the afternoon. Back to the hill. Tom has his kit on. We get on the bikes. We did the one more climb together. This turned into Tom doing 40 miles of that hill himself with me on his bike. He played music, he talked about a lot of different things, we sang songs, and all of this kept my mind off the task at hand. I still knew I wasn't going to make the Everesting climb. The heat and the sun had done too much damage. Tom told me to pick a goal, something that I would be happy to accomplish. Everyone that knows me, I love Jordan. So I wanted to get to 23,000 feet. While I was incapacitated, Jason and Brent kept plugging away on the hill. They showed no signs of stopping. Brent always had a positive attitude and a smile and would always yell something out saying, "We're going to finish this!" Jason seemed like he had never-ending energy, and when asked how he was doing, would always respond with something along the lines of, "Oh, pretty good, just plugging along, you know?" I watched Brent and Jason go up and down the hill. Every time Jason climbed that hill, my brain told me he was full of fire, determination, and strength. I'm grateful for my wife, Tom, and everyone who was there in some way, shape, or form to support us. When I reached my goal of 23,000 feet, my mind and body were done. Megan and Tom kept trying to get me going. It was almost dark. My reaction time and foggy brain had me scared as shit of going into the dark and hitting an animal or getting hit by a car. Throughout the day, deer and a fox or two were constantly crossing the road. During the day, you can see and react, and in the dark, even with the lights, I didn't trust my current state of mind. I was at 190 miles, over 23,000 feet, and it was getting close to 10 p.m. I would have to ride 40 to 50 more miles on this hill to get where I wanted to go. It wasn't going to happen on this day. Tom and Megan then planted another seed in my head. "You're so close to 200 miles. How about you just get there?" I refused. But then I made a compromise. I would go for 200 miles, but not on the hill. I rode 11 more miles on flatter ground and surpassed 200 miles. I climbed over 23,500 feet. I felt good about doing this in one ride. I had been doing this for over 16 hours. I'd been on the bike for over 14 hours. I called it. The story doesn't end there. I was exhausted. I was done. I needed to go home, refuel, get some sleep, because we had been up for such a long time. It was a 2-hour drive home, and it was already getting late, so I headed home. My wife stayed to support because Brent and Jason kept going. Brent kept asking Jason, "How you doing?" And he responded in the same way, "Oh, pretty good, just plugging along, you know?" They pressed on. It got dark. Brent's wife, Amy, got in the truck on the road behind them to protect them from the assholes that were speeding down the hill and coming way too close to them, and I'm guessing half of them were probably under the influence. Megan was still there and kept them fueled. They reached midnight and still had so long to go. Brent finally finished around 2 in the morning. Jason was still not done. He needed a few more laps as he was behind from earlier. My wife, she had her mountain bike in the back of her vehicle just in case. So she jumped on her bike and rode the last few climbs with Jason to support him to the summit of Mount Everest. Jason, a guy battling pancreatic cancer, is a father, husband, cyclist. He is the toughest person that I know on the planet. He completed this challenge. He has to be the toughest, most courageous person to get in the record books of Everesting. In the end, am I happy with what I did? You're damn right I am. Is there a little part of me that wishes I would have just pushed through and finished? Damn straight. Will I try this again? The door isn't closed on it, just like Jordan said after his first retirement, but likely I will not try this again. During this, towards the end, when I was done, my wife said, "If Michael Jordan were here right now, what do you think he would say to you at this point of you wanting to stop?" I looked her dead in the eye and I said, "He would say you are the craziest humans I know. Why would you even try something like this?" Now, I'm probably wrong on this because he did whatever it took to win. So in reality, he would have told me I better keep going. My final thoughts, I can't thank those involved enough, especially my wife. Brent is a badass for sure for being able to complete this challenge in less time than the average Joe. Jason, who did the same thing, I have no words for. He's truly an amazing human. If you feel compelled to help Jason and his family out with medical expenses, I'll have a link in the description below to send some support their way. Let me know in the comments below if you're considering Everesting. If you have a question about it, feel free to ask it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it. I'll also have a link in the description to some cool bike books that I've read and a link to the GoPro I use. If you like bikes, help support the channel and grab some bike stickers. I put them on my vehicles. Stay tuned for more epic Colorado content in the coming videos. Don't miss them by subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified when they come out. If you missed the last video, just click on it right here or click on one of these awesome videos and watch some epic bike content.